Imagine waking up 40,000 years ago. You're hungry. There are no supermarkets, no farms, no refrigerators, no bread, no rice, no pizza, no burgers. So, what do you eat? If Hollywood has taught us anything, it's probably this. Ancient humans hunted mammoths every day, roasted giant steaks over a fire, and survived almost entirely on meat. It makes for a great movie. There's just one problem. Almost everything about that picture is wrong. The real diet of ancient humans was far more diverse, far more creative, and sometimes far stranger than most people imagine. In fact, one of the biggest reasons our species survived wasn't because we were the strongest hunters, it was because we could eat almost anything. So what actually appeared on the menu? The answer begins long before dinner. Let's start with one of the biggest myths about prehistoric life. Myth: ancient humans mostly ate meat. Reality: ancient humans ate whatever their environment made available. Scientists have reconstructed prehistoric diets using fossilized bones, ancient teeth, stone tools, microscopic plant remains, chemical signatures preserved in bones, and even fossilized dental plaque. One remarkable discovery came from hardened plaque on ancient teeth. Scientists found microscopic starch grains trapped inside it, proving that humans were eating and processing plants tens of thousands of years before agriculture even existed. There wasn't one prehistoric diet. People living beside tropical forests ate differently from people living on frozen tundras. Coastal communities depended heavily on fish, shellfish, and seaweed. Desert populations relied more on seeds, roots, and hardy plants. Some groups regularly hunted large mammals. Others rarely encountered them. Ancient humans weren't following a diet, they were following opportunity. And that flexibility became one of humanity's greatest evolutionary advantages. Plants probably supplied far more calories than many people realize. Not everywhere, but in many environments. Wild berries, nuts, seeds, tubers, wild fruits, leaves, mushrooms, edible flowers. Many of these foods required far less risk than chasing a dangerous animal. Some underground tubers were rich in carbohydrates. Nuts provided healthy fats and protein. Wild fruits delivered vitamins. Even wild grasses produced edible seeds long before farming began. Grinding stones discovered at archaeological sites show that some prehistoric people were crushing seeds and processing plant foods tens of thousands of years before the first farms appeared. In many regions, gathering wasn't simply the backup plan, it was everyday survival. Of course, meat still played a vital role, especially in colder regions where edible plants became scarce. Humans hunted deer, bison, reindeer, wild horses, wild cattle, and occasionally even mammoths. But hunting was never guaranteed. A failed hunt could mean several days without success. Large animals could seriously injure or even kill the hunters pursuing them. That's why cooperation became humanity's greatest weapon. Groups tracked animals together, planned ambushes, shared knowledge. Sometimes they practiced persistence hunting, slowly following an animal over long distances until it overheated and could no longer escape. It wasn't speed that made humans exceptional, it was endurance. But perhaps the biggest surprise wasn't what ancient humans hunted, it was what they refused to waste. Modern grocery stores encourage us to eat only certain cuts of meat. Ancient humans couldn't afford that luxury. After every successful hunt, nearly every part of the animal had value. Muscle became food. Bone marrow supplied energy-rich fat. Organs like the liver, heart, and kidneys were packed with essential nutrients. Skin became clothing. Bones became needles, knives, fishhooks, and spear points. Sinew became strong cord for tying tools together. Nothing useful was discarded. To prehistoric humans, waste was often more dangerous than hunger itself. But here's the part almost nobody expects. Sometimes, fresh meat wasn't the only option. Evidence from archaeology and observations of some traditional hunter-gatherer societies suggest that meat wasn't always eaten immediately. In cold environments, carcasses could naturally preserve for extended periods. Some groups may even have deliberately allowed certain meat to age before eating it. To modern people, that sounds shocking. To Ice Age humans, it was simply another way of making valuable food last longer. Again, practices varied greatly between environments and cultures. But survival has never been about luxury. It's about adaptation. Another surprisingly nutritious food? Insects. Today, billions of people around the world still eat insects. They're rich in protein, healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals. Although direct archaeological evidence rarely survives because insects decompose quickly, Many researchers believe insects likely formed part of the prehistoric diet wherever they were abundant and easy to collect. Imagine finding hundreds of nutritious insects beneath a fallen log. No dangerous chase, no sharpened spear, just food waiting to be gathered. For hungry humans, that was a valuable opportunity. Then came one of humanity's greatest inventions: fire. Cooking transformed nearly everything. It softened tough meat, made many roots and tubers safer to eat, reduced harmful microbes in many foods, and allowed the body to extract more energy from the same meal. Some scientists, including evolutionary anthropologist Richard Wrangham, have argued that cooking played an important role in supporting the evolution of our large, energy-demanding brains. While researchers continue debating exactly how large that role was, few disagree that cooking dramatically expanded what humans could safely eat. Dinner wasn't simply becoming tastier, it was becoming more efficient. But survival didn't always mean abundance. There were brutal winters, long droughts, failed hunts, changing climates. Sometimes, food simply disappeared. When that happened, humans became extraordinary problem solvers. They gathered unfamiliar plants, collected shellfish, caught fish, trapped rabbits and birds, scavenged when opportunities appeared, moved into new environments. Instead of depending on one perfect food, they constantly adapted. That flexibility allowed our ancestors to survive environments that defeated many larger, faster, and stronger animals. Now imagine sitting beside an Ice Age campfire. A family shares roasted meat from a successful hunt. Nearby, children crack open nuts gathered earlier that day. Someone stirs roasted roots beside the fire. Fresh berries collected before sunset are passed around. Bone marrow is carefully removed from cracked bones. Fish slowly cooks over glowing embers. Nothing is wasted, nothing is taken for granted. It isn't a feast built around one perfect food. It's a meal built from everything the landscape was willing to offer. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson our ancestors left behind. Human beings didn't conquer the world because we discovered the perfect diet. We conquered it because we could adapt our diet. Every berry, every fish, every shellfish, every root, every nut, every insect, every successful hunt, each meal became another step in the remarkable journey that eventually led to us. So the next time you sit down for dinner, remember this: your ancestors didn't survive because they always found what they wanted to eat. They survived because they learned to make the most of whatever nature placed in front of them. And in the end, that ability to adapt may have been the most important ingredient in human history.